We have a very strong bond. But, you know, I'm the person she goes to when her mom gets in a fight with her and she needs someone to comfort her. And like, I'm that person for her, you know. This girl knows nothing but love here in this house.
This morning, we are spotlighting the new developments in the murder of Madeline Soto. Court TV has reviewed hundreds of documents that were just released by the Osceola and Orange County Sheriff's offices in Florida, which gives us more information on the evidence that was collected near the teenager's body and more detailed timeline of events. So let's first take a look at some of the critical times that are tied to this investigation. On the day, the last day that she was seen alive, at 8:30 p.m., Madeline is dropped off at home. At 8:45 p.m. that day, Stephan arrives at the home. And then at 10:30 p.m., Madeline's mother, Jen, arrives at that home, and she sends Stephan and Madeline to bed together. We'll talk about that in a moment. 11:49 p.m., Stephan logs on to an app called Telegram. Then the next morning at 7 to 7:15 a.m., Sterns claims that he woke up Madeline and that they left the house together. And on surveillance video, he is seen driving away with Madeline slumped over in the car. Now, it's at 8 to 8:15 a.m. that mother Jen claims she is woken up by Sterns getting the dog leash, and she also reports hearing someone in the kitchen. 8:19, he returns to the complex with Madeline slumped over and leaves the complex. About 15 minutes later, she's still slumped over, and it's 9 a.m. that Jen actually gets out of bed. Let's break down all of these new developments with our guests. We have two Court TV journalists who have covered this case from the start. We have Court TV producer Cody Thomas, who is here in studio with us, and Court TV digital content producer Lauren Silver, who is joining us remotely. Lauren, I want to start with you. You have had a chance to comb through all of these messages. You have been so detailed in keeping us up to date on everything that's happening and putting this out for our viewers to see on our website, courttv.com. Tell me about what's standing out to you as one of the biggest pieces of evidence that will support the prosecution of Stephan Sterns in this case.
So right off the top, we knew that surveillance videos were going to play a huge role in this case. We'd known that they had mentioned having evidence of her being dead in the car after he said he was dropping her off at school. But what we didn't know is that there's a second surveillance video that allegedly shows her dead and being placed into the trunk of his car. So investigators said that they have a surveillance video from the Holiday Inn Club vacations, and that they saw his car pull into the garage, and then video inside the garage shows a man walk to the front passenger side of the vehicle, open the door, and proceed to carry what appeared to be a limp body to the trunk of the vehicle. So we can really only assume that is Madeline. Really disturbing, and likely will have a big part of this case. Also, we're hearing more about people who police talked to. So one of the people that talked to police was Stephan Sterns' ex-girlfriend, who described him justifying sleeping with this child even when he and Jennifer had been separated. So he was no longer in a relationship with Madeline's mother, but said he was returning to sleep in Madeline's bed, saying he needed to cuddle with her so she could fall asleep. So that is just odd. The change in Jen Soto's story, I think, also jumped out to me off the page. You mentioned it in the timeline. Originally, we'd heard that she claimed to have seen Madeline at 8 a.m. getting dressed that morning. And we know, based on what police have said, that she was seen dead in the car at 7:35. That couldn't have happened. Now she has clarified to police that what in fact was she heard voices at 8 a.m. And because there are two roommates who lived in the house, there's no way to know who those voices were.
Wow. It's so many terrible details that we already had in this case, Lauren, and now we're hearing more about the relationship inside the home. Can I ask you a follow-up of this dynamic? I know you know so much about this case because you've been following it. The amount of time, do you know about the relationship between Jen and Stephan, the amount of time that they had been together, what the status of their relationship was, and anything more you can tell us about this app, Telegram, that we mentioned in the timeline?
I don't know too much about Telegram, but I can tell you that Jen and Stephan had been sort of in an on-again, off-again relationship for at least 7 years. The videos detailed, we have over Police have said they have over 1,700 files that they found on his phone. A lot of them are pretty detailed, and one specifically mentions her being 8 years and 4 months old. So we can assume that this abuse went back years. We also know that he had moved out of the house. The three of them had lived in that house with the roommates. He moved out in December 2023. He told police he did that because his father had gotten him a job. That job later fell through, and he said he was trying to move back in. But it does appear he was still coming to the house and staying over even during that separation, as he told his girlfriend at the time.
Lauren, thank you for those details. I do want to bring in Cody Thomas. Cody, you've been there in that area. You've seen not only the apartment where we're talking about what Lauren is sharing with us, but you've also been to the location where the body of Madeline Soto was found. In these new documents, what's standing out to you comparing the scene that you were there looking at and what we are finding out now?
Well, first we could start off in saying where she was found was 40 minutes away from that apartment complex. You know, it was super flat, super rural. I know the documents say when her body was found, it was covered in some hay and some grass, but from when I was out there, it was still very wide open, even though she was kind of in that bamboo tree thicket off the side of the road, a few feet off the road. It's very bold of him, to me, that he would place her body there in broad daylight. As far as the apartment complex, to what Lauren was saying with the surveillance, this place was stacked with cameras. Front gate, back gate. There was cameras even on the dumpster. You could see who was pulling up in the dumpster and what car they were driving, what they were throwing into the dumpster. There was even a guard at the front gate. So I have no doubt in my mind that one of those cameras, if not all of them, caught him at some point on that morning with Madeline's dead body in the car.
Yeah, this apartment complex, I'm assuming there's a lot of different people around. There's a lot of different units there. What can you tell us about where that apartment for them was compared to other people, how close it is to the road, that sort of thing?
It was a very busy area. I mean, as I was out there was cars coming in all hours of the day. We were out there in the morning, midday, even at night. They were coming in. There's not an apartment complex that people can just walk in, though. You know, some have those gates where you can walk in off the street. But I'll tell you, the back gate and the dumpster, very close together. So that kind of corroborates with how they saw his Lincoln MKZ leaving that back gate multiple times. They saw him throwing her, what we now know to be her backpack, in the dumpster, and that matching tire tread. Remember the story about him changing a tire up near where her body was found? They had a matching tire tread to the Lincoln MKZ found in the dumpster, along with her backpack with her laptop. So it was a very busy area, and even the intersections around the city where they were in, every intersection had a camera on it. And I said it back then, and I'll say it now. I believe law enforcement had an incredibly easy time once they figured out what car they were looking for to track every point, every turn, every road he traveled on as soon as they figured out who they were honing in on.
Yeah, we were seeing that in the documents with the traffic cameras being so helpful in this case. One thing that hasn't been released to the public from the police is the cause of death of Madeline Soto. But Court TV did speak to an investigative reporter there on the ground there in Orlando, and they had this to say about what they've learned from their sources.
We believe that they have determined that Madeline Soto was strangled and that it was the cause of death. We also believe that they have quite a bit of video evidence after the fact on that route from the house to where Madeline's body was found.
Lauren Silver, you reported on the fact that we aren't hearing that yet, but also about what Cody is mentioning about the dumpster and the surveillance video and what was located. In terms of what police are releasing about how her body was found, what do we know?
We know she was found wearing that green hooded sweatshirt that was mentioned by everyone when she was missing. She was wearing blue jeans, not the black shorts that Stephan and Jennifer had said she was wearing, though, and white Crocs. At least one white Croc. We know another white Croc was found in the dumpster in the white trash bag that investigators say Stephan threw out. She was covered by some grass and hay in a fetal position, and they haven't said anything about what kind of injuries she may have suffered. They noted some discoloration around her torso, her neck, her arms, but nothing beyond that. And they did note decomposition and some flies, but no real clues.
Oh, so difficult. This was a 13-year-old who had just celebrated her birthday that night. Cody, final thoughts. You mentioned that there were a lot of cameras around, and it doesn't seem like he was avoiding those cameras. Some people have said this doesn't seem like it was planned out in terms of well in advance. Does that match what you saw at the scene and the different places that you visited?
That's exactly right, Julia. Those are my thoughts as I was reading the documents, as I was down there. It seems as if he did all of this kind of in a panic, like, in a rush. And my only pressing question is, when did you have time to allegedly strangle Madeline if she was already dead early in that morning? But it seems like the weight of what he had done was coming down upon him, and he just felt like, I have to get rid of this body so I can come up with my escape plan. Then what happens? You get a flat tire. Maybe it was just a giant coincidence, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we now have more insight on what was really happening on Old Hickory Tree Road that morning.
We are going to keep following this case. My thanks to our colleagues at Court TV, Lauren Silver and Cody Thomas. Thank you for sharing all of those details. We have more to come here on Opening Statements, more reaction to these shocking new developments in the murder of Madeline Soto. As this investigation continues, we're going to take a look at the life that she shared with her mother and the alleged killer.
On the next episode of Accomplice to Murder, Vicki Monroe goes on trial for hiring her own son to kill her husband, Jerry.
You wouldn't think that for $3,000, not in a million years.
Leslie Emerson could not have been the mastermind behind this.
She needed him alive. She didn't need him dead.
She was a Class A manipulator.
I just lifted up, closed my eyes, and shot.
Accomplice to Murder with Vanny Politan. All new episode, Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Did she have any places that you guys know that she'll usually be at? Any friend's house? Any places that she likes to hang out?
Typically, no.
Welcome back. I'm Julia Janae, in for Julie Grant here on Opening Statements. We're on the heels of a new development in the Madeline Soto murder case. Part of this investigation points back to the life she had while she was living with her mother and the suspect in this case, Stephan Sterns. Sterns spoke with police the day after Madeline went missing, and he had this to say about how her disappearance affected him and the child's mother.
She brings a lot of joy. She's a very good girl. It definitely doesn't feel the same around here if she's not here. She was so happy, too. She was looking forward to my visit here. She was looking forward to us all being together. She was just happy. She was just very happy. I loved her like she was my own.
One more reaction to these recent developments in the home life of Madeline Soto. Let's bring back in our experts. We have in studio State Attorney in Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg, and domestic violence expert and former law enforcement, Claudia King, is with us. Claudia, I want to start with you. This case has so many issues when it comes to domestic violence in terms of what we are learning, the details, all of the sex abuse images that police say they found on the phone of Stephan Sterns. What is standing out to you about the home life of this child that should have potentially raised red flags earlier?
I feel terrible for this poor girl and everything that she went through. As far as some signs that possibly could have been seen earlier, and I don't want to say by her mother, because I feel like her mother may have been complicit in a lot of this, but I think at school she may have appeared withdrawn. She may have exhibited some signs of PTSD as far as being jumpy. You know, if somebody came behind her or touched her, she may have reacted differently than we normally see, or she may have been very agreeable. So anything that anybody asked her to do, she may have agreed to do very quickly, because it sounds like that's what she was used to doing at home with the defendant.
Yeah, Dave Ehrenberg, let's talk about the mother, Jen. She's there inside of the home. She has this on-again, off-again relationship with Stephan Sterns. How are prosecutors or investigators likely looking at her in terms of what they now believe Stephan Sterns did over the course of years?
Under Florida law, child neglect that leads to a death or serious bodily injury is a second-degree felony, punishable by up to 15 years in prison. And you have to believe that prosecutors are looking at charging her potentially by the fact that she allowed Sterns to sleep with her daughter in a separate room in the same bed, and that has to raise red flags. But I think prosecutors are doing more. They want to go further to make sure they've got the goods before they charge her, because you don't want to get it wrong. And also, perhaps maybe they can get her to flip against Sterns, although I don't think they need her testimony to convict Sterns. But she's not out of the woods yet. People are really going after her throughout the country because of her behavior, but there is still a chance, based on that video that I saw where he is standing behind her. This is at that tax insurance office where they're talking about Maddie, that she was sort of under his control, under his thumb, and she was unaware of what was going on. So prosecutors are still investigating, I believe, and so she could still be charged. But if they had enough evidence to charge her, they would have done so already, I believe.
Claudia, I want to talk about the co-sleeping. This is something that has come out in these new developments. I'm not going to call it co-sleeping, but basically this allegation or this comment by Jen that Stephan and Madeline would share a bed, 12, 13-year-old girl, and that his justification was he needed to cuddle with her to fall asleep. I'm sure this is just blowing your mind the way it's blowing ours, but is there anything that they can do to try and say that this was somehow normal?
I really can't think of anything, to be honest with you. And I even thought it was very odd when Jen said that they often all three slept in the same bed. That's very bizarre to me as well. You know, I don't know if they can find some expert or psychologist somewhere that would, you know, try to say that this had some benefit to Madeline. I don't foresee that happening, but when money's involved, you never know what people will say.
And the defense is going to try their best to come up with a reasonable one to defend their client. Let's take a listen back to an interview that Stephan Sterns did with police where he's talking about his bond with Madeline.
We have a very strong bond. You know, I'm the person she goes to when her mom gets in a fight with her and she needs someone to comfort her. And like I'm that person for her, you know. This girl knows nothing but love here in this house.
Dave, statements like that, they're going to be used against him, are they not, inside of a courtroom at a trial for either the abuse or murder?
Yes, and under Florida law, you can get the death penalty for the sexual abuse, aside from the murder, even when the victim does not die. That makes Florida an outlier, and I'm not sure that law is constitutional, but that's the new law in Florida. Plus, you only need an 8-4 vote by the jury in the penalty phase to give someone the death penalty. So he committed, allegedly, this heinous crime at the wrong time. And so, yeah, they're going to use this stuff against him. The jury, if it does go to a trial and he doesn't just plead to the court guilty at the beginning, if it goes to a jury, they're going to hate this guy for stuff like this. That recording is so bad, it makes him look like a sociopath.
It is so bad. Claudia, real quick before we have to go, I know you have to have a reaction to the way he's saying, I'm the one she would come to.
I totally agree with you. It's disgusting the way he says that. And, you know, there's going to be more to come out, and there's no way he comes out of this looking good at all.
All right. Claudia, I know we have to say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for your expertise this hour.